Welcome back to another episode of College Coaches Corner. I think we're on number 4 here, number 4 or 5. I forget. It all kind of jumbles up together. But we're back in region number 23, and we're back in Mississippi with Coach Brent Harris, Southwest Community College. Coach, how's the family doing? How are you guys doing during this virus madness?
We're doing good. I could stretch the truth a little bit. We've had some challenges, so we're definitely taking advantage of that, not having to be there in the morning for school. So we're a late start usually.
I love it. We're gonna jump right into it. A tough question that I like to lead off with is, you've been there at Southwest, I believe, 8 or 9 years now as a head coach. When you first started there as a head coach, kind of backtrack a few years from now, who was the first coach you felt outcoached you in a game?
Well, I'm gonna throw that to Gwen Young at Colin. I think next year will be his 43rd year. So he's also probably my closest friend. I mean, I recruited a lot of his kids when I was at Southeastern Louisiana. And now we did. I'm trying to remember if it was I think we did get a win against him my first year, but he does a great job. Of course, we're right down the road from each other, share film. We know each other's programs, but he does a great job in late game adjustments and kind of having something up his sleeve that you haven't seen before. But I'd give it to Coach Young at Colin first.
No doubt, he's definitely been there a while, and he's seen a lot of basketball for sure. He coached a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So want to kind of educate a lot of people on Mississippi JUCOs Region 23. We talked to Louisiana Eunice and BRCC already. We're not restricted as far as number of kids we can have from out of state, but you guys are. Can you ad-lib a little bit on that for us?
Well, that's a great question because, sometimes you have to explain it. And when you're recruiting and you have to explain it, it's better to kind of generally talk about it. We can get 3 from outside the state of Mississippi. And people say, well, why is that? Well, Mississippi tax dollars help support our schools, not just our athletic programs, our schools. So, if you step back and look at it from that direction, Mississippi supporters would like to see more Mississippi kids on Mississippi athletic fields. So that is just kind of common sense if you ask me. But, and then in my situation, Tangible Hope Parish used to count as an in-state situation, but it does not anymore. So that's been a kind of a, again, they'll go back to the past. Well, so-and-so played there. Well, now I only get 3. So it's a little different deal. And obviously as coaches, we all want, we want as much freedom as we can get. But if you kind of step back from your individual situation, the way we do it, it's not unprecedented. Kansas has they have a lot more they can give, but they have some restrictions. So it kind of comes back to who is supporting the school, and that's how the millage and the tax dollars kind of of each district kind of support that junior college in that area. So they do restrict us on how many we can have out of state, and in basketball it is 3. So usually with those 3, you're kind of shooting for a home run, somebody that can come in and make an immediate impact. So again, they'll go back to the past. Well, so-and-so played there. Yeah, well, it's a little bit different. And other schools had different areas that were close to them across state lines that they counted as in-state situations. So it is something we have to deal with, but, I think we still have a good job and a good league. So, it is a restriction, but, it is what it is.
No doubt. Y'all's league is very tough. And just to kind of clear it up, so it's 3 for the whole entire roster, not 3 per year, correct?
There's the second question that comes out of the gate is, yes, it's 3 at a time. If you roll 1 out, you got 1. You don't get 3 per year. So yes, it's three out-of-state athletes at one time.
So how many junior colleges are in the state of Mississippi?
There's 15, and 15. So I've kind of kept up with your some of your stuff you've done lately. Somebody's aunt, somebody's uncle, somebody went to junior college in the state of Mississippi. That's just a given. So we have a built-in strength, whereas maybe sometimes other states have to fight the JUCO stigma, if you will. Somebody's got somebody in your family that went to junior college and had a good experience. So that's a positive for us, and we kind of use that in recruiting a lot.
Now, so I guess the flip side of that is, now you got 15 junior colleges and you're all recruiting the same pool of kids. In my experience, just from an outsider looking at you guys, I feel like you guys have the hardest job recruiting. If you can recruit in the junior college level at Mississippi against everyone who, for the most part, can offer the same thing, what's some challenges that you face with that as far as competing against Coach Young over there and across the entire state?
Well, the question is, when do you go to the next list? We all know who's at the top of the list. And you got to ask yourself, what kind of real chance do you have? Either distance may be against you. They got a teammate they got two teammates at a rival school, and you're trying to, you got to ask yourself how long you willing to wait. And that's a tough question, and of course, in our level, like this year, I've got a lot of returners. I can be patient. I don't have to sign a lot. And with all that's going on right now, that's a benefit. But the next year, I'll be signing probably 7, 8, 9, could be, and so then, when do you make the next move to the next player? So it can drive you, kind of crazy if you let it. But now there's not many surprises out there, but if you kind of know who's got good programs, or you have some ties at different places, you might find one or two that are under the radar. And that's quite frankly how we've kind of surprised some people, I guess, in the last 8 years. We've made a great job of evaluating someone who maybe they're here, but with the year they can, up their game and really help. And you got to know how to, know how to develop them and know how to use them in your system.
No doubt. Kind of segueing into the other side of that. So 2 years from there, where you're recruiting this girl, and then you're at the junior college level. You've coached at the Division I Southeastern NAIA. I feel like if you want to really develop as a coach, you go junior college and so much turnover over and over, and you're getting both sides of the spectrum. Whereas high school coaches like myself, we're just getting our kids and we're trying to promote them to get recruited. Where you're recruiting every year and then you're trying to get your kids re-recruited. What's some challenges, benefits of that, just overall in the 2-year span that the kids are on campus?
Well, I mean, I never thought I'd be a junior college coach. I like the 4-year. I use the kind of comment, what you're getting out of a senior when you're in a 4-year situation. There's no question. Tonight, this is a good matchup. She'll succeed. In a sophomore, it's not so much. So, that's a challenge of a 2-year deal. But it's also not too bad. I mean, 2 years, they're kind of ready for something new. You've had a good relationship or whatever. They're ready to move on down the road, and you are too. So it hasn't been as challenging as I thought it might be on the front end. Getting them recruited. Luckily, we've dealt with a lot of players who are not, I need 10 offers. I don't like this one. Like this year's sophomore, Jolie from Louisiana, she's as laid back about it and I'm like, I think that's great. Take it as it comes. You've got offers, just kind of play it out and see how it goes. Who's in your top, whatever. But I think, it hasn't been a very big challenge for us getting, because we deal with kids who don't want 10 looks. And that's one thing I would tell, find the right fit. It's not about the level. Find the right fit, whatever it is, because that's way more important than I'm going to play at this level, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to this, I'm going this far away, or I'm going to stay close. Find the right fit, and that's something I tell them as a sophomore. I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I will help you from making a questionable decision. And I'll interject if I think I need to. But other than that, this is you and your family's decision, and we'll go with it, with that attitude.
You kind of touched on it a little bit. like playing at the right level. I can't express and emphasize that enough for these kids. You know, we got 15 scholarships on the women's side, and that's no one's playing 15 kids. You're playing 7, 8, and then as it gets to conference, you know, later on the year when you really want to be playing, the rotations are going to get shrunk down even more. And, you know, you kind of combine that with the transfer rules of how it may change to where kids may be eligible right away. I think level is going to be the most important decision that anybody can make. What's your thoughts on the transfer rule where kids may be eligible right away? Like, what are you thinking on that? How is that going to affect you guys?
Well, obviously, it's probably going to hurt us because now they don't have to go down to go back up to Division One. You know, you've talked about I mean, there's legislation on the table to go from Division One to Division One without having to sit out, and I don't jump in those waters probably like I should, and that's something, you know, if you transfer a lot or if you change summer teams a lot, you have the right to do that. That is great. It's a free country, but most of the coaches that coach this game, that's a red flag to them. Not all, but most. So that's something I would advise, you know, young athletes. Well, I'm not happy here. I'm not playing. I'm going to transfer. Well, be selective on who you play for or where you're going to go to school, or, you know, if basketball is that big a deal to you. But if you just keep jumping, you know, from school to school, not all, but most coaches are going to say, hey, wait a minute, because I signed her as a freshman. She's not happy. She's looking to, you know, go down the road. So, you know, make good decisions on the front end. And sometimes you do need to make a change. That's a given, and that's everybody's right. But on the other side, coaches have the choice to say, wait a minute, I'm going to go with this one because she stuck it out somewhere. She waited her turn, if you will, and she made the most of it. So sometimes you got to be able to see things from both sides of the fence. So that would be my advice for young athletes.
100%. You know, and it's kind of a slippery slope when we start talking about this stuff. You know, people may think that we're downplaying and putting down on transfers, but I think, like, your point is, people are just going to do their homework more. Athletes are going to do their homework more. Coaches are going to do their homework more. The transfer rate is probably going to be up a little bit, not for say one way or the other, one reason or the other, but I think a lot more people are going to pay attention on the front end when you're initially recruited. So like we said, find the right fit, find the right level, because at the end of the day, they're going to try to fill those 15 spots, and it's not going to be easy. I think junior colleges may get a little bit of benefit or push on the back end with kids that are signing late, because in my opinion, I feel like you're going to sign from Division I level, you're going to sign high school kids early, and then you're going to look for transfer kids late. That's all. That's my opinion. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's typically how it goes, and you know, and some exclusively probably don't deal with junior college, and some, you know, I remember when I was my first few years at Southeastern, I met a guy at the Final Four. He goes, "That's all we recruit." You know, he goes, because it's a lot of time and money, you know, to go after high school kids if you're going to get the ones that are going to move your program. You know, everybody's looking for people to help you win the league, not just play in the league. So, you know, I think we provide a good source, you know, and you're going to get to play in junior college. That's kind of our selling point. Whereas, you know, I told somebody, I think it was just last night, you're competing with somebody who's 1 year older than you. You go to a 4-year, you're playing against somebody who could be 3 and 4 years older than you. And, you know, I think most get that, but some may not think about that at times. You know, I wish I had this stat. If you average 15 points your senior year in high school and you sign, you know, pretty good level D1, there's not many of those kids that average 15 points their freshman year. I mean, if there's 20, I'll be shocked, you know, so because it's just a different deal. So we will always have our home. I think initially the D1 to D1, you know, maybe some will, you know, kind of jump by us, but, you know, over time, I think that'll settle down.
I agree. And I think that's their overall idea, you know, with the waivers kind of being in and out and no one really knowing who's going to get a waiver and you're kind of waiting on pins and needles. That's the idea, just to kind of open it up and let it more for sure. This is the for sure clear-cut rule. You can transfer 1 year, and you can play right away, but you can only do that one time.
Right.
So enough about all that. Let's move on, I guess. As far as an individual coach, you coach at the NAIA level as assistant, Division I as assistant. You said you didn't see yourself as a junior college coach. Like, what kind of impacted your coaching career, your decision? Is there any advice you can give to young coaches that are looking to, I guess, move up the line or coach in college?
Take it extremely serious. I was a business major in college and probably knew this was what I was going to do the whole time. So I gave a little time away, if you will, kind of focused on something else. But I mean, I got that degree, so that's a good thing to have. But, take it serious, dress the part, reach out, make contacts. But, I'm not great on the social media. That's not my genre, and that's great. But kind of don't just hang your hopes on that, sit. Don Meyer, and I got to hear him say this himself. He was in our league when I coached back at Lambeth. He goes, spend 1 hour a day studying the game, and I dare say how many coaches do that. I mean, it's hard, and so take your time and make contacts, but make the right contacts and try to move up. But, also find a home. I mean, I'm extremely happy at the level I'm at. It's good for my family. It's competitive. I think I can make a difference, on the floor and off the floor, with the young student athlete. So, set some goals, and that's great. But, you don't have to climb all the way to Division I, ACC. There's other places that just like we're telling the athlete, there's places to be happy and get to coach the game and make a difference.
That's big time. I think it kind of changes once you start having those babies and get a family and all that.
Everything changes. You play a lot more zone.
Just overall, you're as a young coach, you're driven, you're trying, and you think this is the vision, this is where I want to go, and you're trying to climb that mountain, and then you start having a wife, kids, and your goals change, I guess, is my thing. And it's not, like you said, it's not D1 or bust. Same thing with these kids. It's not D1 or bust. And I think even at the high school level, man, I can make a big difference. And it's not about where you coach, it's how you coach. So that's great advice. Moving into social media. I know you said you're not big into social media. Is there any way the girls can follow you, parents can follow you, or the program?
Yeah, southwestbearathletics.com. All of our Twitter. My assistant's great at it. So, that's you got to have a team. And there's things that I do, I think that help us. But she's great at that. We have all the pages you can follow. We've got a great school. We were ranked, I think, 15th in the country for value a couple of years ago. So there's a lot to sell. And right now, social media and we're kind of making a virtual tour of our campus because recruiting's different now. So go to our webpage and you can learn a lot about us. But and we've got a lot of good to talk about. We've been very successful. Been to two state finals, one region final. I'm trying to plug here a little bit. Let me sneak that in. Went to the national tournament our second year. So we've done some good things. But, yeah, there's a lot of information on our website. We keep up with it pretty well.
And I guess one question that kind of reminded me I wanted to ask, I feel like you guys are small school, town, feel like that. What is that a selling point whenever kids are transferring from the high school, transitioning to college? A lot of girls, especially in Louisiana, we got a lot of small schools. How is the transition period as a student?
Well, we are a smaller school. You can't make that stuff up. You got to embrace what you are. And I don't think that's a bad thing, especially in women's athletics. Everybody on our campus is going to know their name. Everybody's going to know they're a women's basketball player. And I think that's a good thing. Our teachers are our instructors are phenomenal to work with. They understand, our schedule. And fortunately for our schedule, we don't miss a ton of class. So it's easy to work with, but the transition, it is different. It's, anytime you go from high school to college, it's a big jump, but I think it's, the jump's not as big when you go to a smaller school. I think we've got a very intimate setting. I think we are, user friendly, if you will. And, myself and my assistant, we try to go to great lengths to make that, we walk them through campus, or that we get their, older buddy, if you will, to kind of show them where all their classes are the day before. And, it's just, and that first 2 weeks are key, I really could, I don't really want to do anything basketball related the first 2 weeks. Sometimes you have to a little bit. Sometimes it's just letting them, get together and play some pickup. But it's more about making them comfortable, knowing where things are. It's just simple as that. So we try to do a great job at bridging that transition.
No doubt. And it's people make the place. We always said that at Nichols. And from people that don't know you, I've been knowing you for 8-9 years, man. You're a great person. Your assistant coach. What's her name again?
Britta Stevens. Doctor. Here's how I got it. Dr. Britta Stevens. So,
Doctor. I love it.
She's in charge of academics, so I stay in my lane.
That's awesome, man. She's great too. You guys make a great combination. And like I said, people make the place, and it's a good transition. It's not JUCO is not bad just for kids that have bad grades, and that's what we're trying to express to all these people watching. And we're just trying to educate. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you spending some time with us, educating us on the rules from Mississippi, and just overall Southwest. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll be coming back tomorrow with another episode. Stay tuned and follow us on our new YouTube channel. Thanks.